What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and our 2023 college football predictions continue for the 2023 college football season. Up next are the Missouri Tigers, a team coming off a pretty up-and-down season in 2022. This is a team that went 6-7 overall in 2022 last year. And, Missouri was a team that, I didn't give a lot of hype heading into last year. I think, Missouri just kind of, was going to be a little bit, take a step back year a little bit. But I think this Missouri team, looking at them this year in 2023, I think they're going to be pretty good. I think the offense will be pretty strong this year. Defense is kind of what concerns me about this Missouri team. In the last couple years, Missouri's defense has not been as terrific as we kind of expected them to be. But, Missouri, I think, will be much better on that side of the football. They have a lot of production coming back, but, it just really comes down to the schedule for Missouri. Taking a look at their schedule, you look at their opponents in the non-conference, they'll play South Dakota, Middle Tennessee, Kansas State, and then they'll play Memphis here at St. Louis. So they played 4 of their non-conference games here in the month of September. So you got 4 straight non-conference games and then 1 neutral site game at St. Louis against Memphis. And then you look at who they play outside of the SEC East. They'll play LSU, and they'll also play Arkansas on the road. Arkansas is a team that they play every single year. That's a rival game. And then you got LSU out of the West. That's going to be a pretty tough one. Good news is you get that game at home. And then you got the other SEC East opponents here. But let's go game by game now here to give you an official prediction for this Missouri team. So you got 2 non-conference games here to start out, or actually 4 of them here to start out the month of September. We'll start with those 2 games, though. It's South Dakota and Middle Tennessee. These are games where Missouri, I think, should win pretty easily. I really don't see them having any problems whatsoever against both of these opponents. So I think Missouri will start out 2-0 pretty easily with big wins over South Dakota and Middle Tennessee. Then there's that game at home against Kansas State on September 16th. Going back and forth in this game, it was a tough one to call for me. I had to go with home field advantage in this one. I already did Kansas State's prediction, a few months ago, and I think it was obviously Missouri. I think they're not the better team here, but I think they have overall the better production in this game. Last year, obviously, the game was not even that close. This year, I think Missouri will be more competitive against this Kansas State team. I know they just won it all in the Big 12 last year, but I like Missouri in this game to get it done. I think Missouri gets revenge on the Wildcats here, and I think Missouri starts out 3-0 with a win over Kansas State. Memphis at St. Louis here on September the 23rd. I was about to call this one a home game, but it's at St. Louis in this one. And I'm kind of interested to see what happens in this game between the 2 Tigers here, Memphis and Missouri, 2 teams that don't go at it pretty often in this one. And I kind of wish this was kind of like a series between these 2 teams. However, I don't think it will be a rival game because they are just 2 Tigers, but I really don't think it will be a rival game in the future. But this one's at St. Louis. It's a tough one to call for me. I really haven't looked at Memphis's roster just yet. I'm still kind of getting used to, looking at the group of 5 teams and everything, but Memphis is a team that just has a lot of question marks. I know they've been good in the American Athletic, these past few years, but I think Missouri is the better overall roster in this game. Plus, playing at St. Louis, I think there's going to be more Missouri fans there. And I think Missouri does win a close one here over the Memphis Tigers on September 23rd. And I got Missouri starting out 4-0. Then they'll play Vanderbilt on the road here on September the 30th to open up SEC play. We've seen Missouri at times have really big trouble with Vanderbilt in the last few years. Vanderbilt used to beat them, pretty much, the only win they would have in the SEC. I think Vanderbilt's going to be a lot better than they were last year. I kind of expect this team to probably make it to a bowl game, but maybe there is a question they probably won't make it to a bowl game. But I don't think you can really sleep on the Condors in this game. I think this game goes back and forth like it always does between these 2 teams. I think Missouri does have the better overall production, but playing on the road at Vanderbilt is going to be a tough one for me. And with that being said, with the progress that Vanderbilt made last year, I'm going with the upset here if Missouri was probably ranked in the top 25. I like the Condors in this game. Give me Vanderbilt in this one over Missouri. And I got Vanderbilt giving Missouri their first loss of the season on the road at Vanderbilt. That puts their record at 4-1. LSU at home after that on October the 7th. So you're just coming off a loss to Vanderbilt on the road. I really think Missouri was just not focused on Vanderbilt in the last week. Maybe they're focused on this game against LSU, and they're probably going to make this game a little bit competitive. I think Missouri can make this game a little bit competitive in the first half. LSU, though, I think it's just got way too much talent on their roster. With that being said, I think LSU pulls away in the second half, and I think the Tigers do beat Missouri here. I should say LSU Tigers beat Missouri Tigers here because they're both home of the Tigers, and I think LSU is the better team in this game, and that puts Missouri's record at 4-2. Kentucky on the road here on October 14th. Kentucky's a team that, is going to have a really good offensive line, great wide receivers. Got Devin Leary, the transfer, coming over from NC State. But, we've seen back-and-forth matchups here between Missouri and Kentucky. This game, I think, could be even closer. And obviously, a low-scoring type game, I think, is going to be competitive in this one. I think both defenses will be competitive, but Kentucky playing at home, I think will get it done here. I think it's a close game, but I think Kentucky, with them being at home, they get it done, and I think they give Missouri their third loss of the season. So I got Missouri falling to 4-3. South Carolina at home on October the 21st is their next game. South Carolina's got a lot of question marks, especially on the defensive side of the football. They lost a lot of talent from last year. I think this is still a competitive game between the Gamecocks and the Tigers. I think this game is always competitive when they play Kentucky and South Carolina. I think this game is kind of like the Kentucky game. It kind of is a low-scoring type game, fourth quarter type game as well. I think Missouri, though, with them being at home and home field advantage, coin flip type game here for me. I'm going to go with the Tigers here of Missouri, and I got the Tigers winning their fifth game there against South Carolina at home. They get a bye week after that game. Then they'll play on the road at Georgia. I think that's a pretty good spot for a bye week if you're Missouri, but I really don't think the bye week's going to really help out on the road at Georgia. I mean, Georgia obviously way too talented and way too competitive on both sides of the football. I think Georgia really keeps Missouri's offense, off the field pretty much the whole entire game in this one, because I think Missouri is going to want to pass the football, maybe run the football, but I just don't see Missouri's offense getting past this Georgia defense. So I think Georgia wins that one pretty easily. That's a loss there for Missouri on the road. That puts their record at 5-4. Tennessee at home on November the 11th, the next week here. A couple years ago when Missouri played Tennessee at home, it was a blowout. And we've seen a couple years now where Missouri's just had trouble with the defense, against this Tennessee offense. We know what Josh Heupel can bring to the table on the offensive side of the football. Tennessee's going to hurry up on offense. I think Missouri's going to be a lot closer than it was last year. I think they'll be more competitive against this Tennessee offense. But, however, I think Tennessee's just kind of similar to Georgia and LSU. They just got way too much talent, and the offense is just going to really be explosive on that side of the football. I think it's a shootout, but I think Tennessee wins this one here in a close one over Missouri, and I think they give Missouri their fifth loss of the season. So that's I got Missouri's record now falling to 5-5. Then the next game is at home against Florida at home on November 18th. Florida's got a lot of question marks. I mean, they're kind of similar to South Carolina, just a lot of question marks. I know they got Graham Mertz coming in, the transfer quarterback from Wisconsin. I just don't see Florida being all that good this year. I think they'll still make it to a bowl game, but Missouri and Florida, this one's a tough one for me. It's a 50-50 game. And I think Missouri's just kind of desperate for this point to get to a bowl game. So with that being said, I think the Tigers get the win here over the Gators at home, and that puts them into a bowl game with a record of 6-5. Then they'll play Arkansas to end things out on November 25th. Rival game, you never know what can happen here between the Razorbacks and the Tigers. Both of these teams, are kind of even at this point. I think Arkansas just has a lot of question marks heading into this year, but this one's a road game for Missouri, and plus it's a rival game. You never know what can happen. I think the Tigers have a really good chance to win this one, but I think Arkansas, with them being at home, they get it done with that offense that they have with KJ Jefferson at quarterback. So I think Missouri will lose that one on the road at Arkansas, and that puts their record at 6-6 for the 2023 season. So that's my prediction for the Missouri Tigers. I could very well see this team going 7-5, but what if they miss out on a bowl game? They went 5-7. I think that would just kind of be a disappointment for this Missouri team, but 6-6 I think is a fair prediction for this Missouri team. This is my prediction for the Missouri Tigers for 2023. Let me guys know what you think about this Missouri team. What do you think their record is in 2023? And stay tuned here for more sports content videos on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.